12 tonight.
What's up, Chris?
Oh,
Hey, how's it going, man? I'm a little hot there, sorry.
No worries, dude. No worries. Chris, this is Mike, Ben, and Ham Hands. His real name is Pat, but he got monster hands.
Oh, cool, man. Good to meet you guys.
what's up, man? How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's just a little hot today.
Yeah, same. Where you at?
I'm in SoCal.
Okay, I'm in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah, it's hot where you are.
Yeah, it's about 92, I think.
You guys are shut down out there, huh?
Oh, yeah, dude. Strip is a ghost town. I actually moved here from Southern California last October.
Oh, no shit. That's cool.
Yeah.
A bunch of my like musicians that I work with all made the pilgrimage out there to work full time, like 7 days a week. But
Oh,
they're all
wow.
shut down.
Yeah, I know.
In the last 5 years, a bunch of guys that I used to gig with regularly started moving out there and to doing it full time.
Yeah, that's where I got the idea. A good friend of mine named Jamie Lewis, he's a bass player and a content creator. He gave me the tip that he was considering moving out here. And I said, well, I never considered it. So I started looking at some properties and all of a sudden it started making sense. And I said, hey, man, I don't mean to stalk you, but I'm moving out there too.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, every once in a while, like if I feel like going out there for like 4 days. 4 days is like the max. I'll do Vegas is 4 days. I'll call them up and be like, hey, book me for 4 days to play with you because I'm coming out, and that'll pay for my trip.
Yeah.
All right, so fellas, I want to do a bass hang with some of these you content creators that I kind of look up to, that I enjoy watching your videos. And what's up, Kilo?
Hello, Joe. How are you? It's Kejo.
I'm good, man.
Doing good, thanks.
So I wanted so obviously Mike Garza, we got Django Mike on. Just Basic.
Mike.
What's that?
Saying hi to Mike.
Oh. We got Chris. Chris is from the Bass channel on YouTube. They're pumping out some freaking amazing videos and demos. Ben, do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, man. But when my son was like 2, my littlest one,
right,
he deleted all my content out, and I haven't had time to really do anything more. So I used to have a bunch of content, but it's all gone.
Oh man,
we'll get it back up. And then obviously Kilo, I've been hunting down for like the last 6 months, and then got him to join our Carl Thompson cult.
Yeah, that's our brother.
Yeah.
But I have to say something, Kilo. I've gone on just out of sheer laziness for not wanting to learn how to play a song. I'll jump onto your page and just watch you play it. So that's how I found out about you. And I've been following you for a while. And then my buddy Pat just got into the Twitch thing. So he's kind of teaching me about the whole Twitch thing. And Pat's mostly doing the video game stuff on Twitch right now. And I'm kind of feeling that Twitch might be like a good good program to use or a good service to use for like live bass hangs, or if you want to just jam live in front of people. So I guess we'll get it started. I'm gonna ask Kilo a question, and then we'll just do like round table, I guess. Kilo, how did you get started with YouTube? And please tell me your secret to getting so many subscribers, because I can barely get
I've been playing bass, I don't know how long, I think like 26, 27, I don't even know how many years. And it struck me that I didn't have any videos on internet, right? So it was like, okay, I've been playing with this many bands and I don't have any content. So I just got a GoPro, started kind of just recording songs from my previous bands and just getting them up. Then I said, you know what? I'll start recording songs that inspired me, basses that inspired me. So I started doing cover songs, right?
Right.
Now, I'm very picky with bass sound, as you can see, right? So yeah. I had to get the sound right, not just the notes. So I really focused on making sure that each cover song that I uploaded would sound as similar as the original bass track, right? And then I just started uploading content, and little by little, just I guess people started catching up, right? The thing is, I don't ask the people what song do you want to hear. I just play whatever song I want to play, because in the end, it is songs that inspired me, right? So that's what I've always been looking to cover. And I guess then people just started joining, asking, how do you get that sound? How do you play that? And it got to the point where it is what it is, right? I've been struggling to upload new content, but that's really how it started.
So how many subscribers do you have now? And that's and the second question is, I want to know your signal chain and how you get those unbelievable, the unbelievable audio.
I think I'm reaching 50,000. Right.
You're at 49.7K.
Correct. Right. So I'm reaching.
I'm doing my research here.
And so I have a pedal board, right? And I use Aguilar amps. And what I did also is I never really got a good recorded sound whenever I went to the studio. So what I did is I bought a microphone, 421, and I built, and I don't know if you can see it, probably you can see it. Let me see there. You can see that wooden box. So I basically built a 1x1 meter ISO box, and I put a 4x10 Aguilar speaker inside of it, and I mic'd it with a 421 mic, and got some Golden Age preamps, and those go straight into my Motu interface, and that's it, right? And the thing is, and this is very important, you need to know how to use your pedal board. You need to know how to get sounds out of it. So once you get to that point and you hear something in a, let's say you heard Team C on a Rage song, you know how to dial it in, right? So you know what to tweak on your pedal board to get that sound. And in most cases, I just basically went straight from my pedal board to my amps, then straight to my interface, and that's it. Sometimes I needed to put some compressor or EQs into the final recorded sound, but in the end, that was it, right? Because I had already done a recording exercise on some of my albums, so I kind of had the rig done. So I said, okay, I'll use that for my videos as well. And my single chain's that, right? So it's pedal board to my Aguilar amps. I started mixing it up later on. That's how it started. But then I started trying to simplify it, because what happened was, if I had a gig and I had to take my speaker out of the ISO box, then when I came back, if I was either in the middle of recording, then the sound was not the same, right? Because even if you kind of put markers on, the microphone will not be in the exact same position. So what I did is I bought a 2-note torpedoes cab, and I run through the exercise of doing the IRs for my rig. So instead of having to connect my speaker, then I went through the torpedo cab, right? And started playing with that. And recently I did another change, which was my back was starting to annoy me carrying 25 kilograms of pedals. So what I did is I basically, it was a coin toss, because I didn't really know what was going to happen. I bought a Helix, and I kind of did a trial test using the Native, a plugin, and I said, okay, it might work. So then I basically bought the Helix and emulated my pedal board with the Helix, and I think it's like 95% there, right? So now all the recent videos that I've uploaded, even on Instagram, I go direct out of my Helix into either my phone or my GoPro, and that's how I've been doing it. And I think in the end, if you use a pedal board, if you use a Helix, whatever you use, if you're emulating whoever bass player or sound, the most important thing is that you need to know how to get that sound or how to dissect the sound so that you know what you need to use to achieve it, right? So that's a trick. It sounds simple, right? But I mean, it takes some time to just to kind of work your way around and using the equipment to your advantage. Because and that's, I guess, another hour of talking about that. But I know a lot of people buy a pedal and then they figure out what they'll do with it, and it should be the other way around. I have a sound in my head, and what pedal will help me get there, and that should be the process, I think. I probably deviated from your question, but
No, dude, listen, that's what we need. Another one of my, I guess you could say like video heroes just jumped on. Jeff, also known as Mr. X Kane.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Nope.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Awesome.
So just to give you I'll give you like the Cliff Notes version. Like I was playing in a band called Hope Kills Fear. We were a Christian hard rock band. It got to the point where, you know, you kind of realize you're not going to make any money in the music industry, or that you're getting offered could barely pay for an 18-year-old kid. Maybe if you were 18, you could survive off of it, but with a wife and 2 kids, there was no way. So I got hooked up with the Tone King, Lewis.
Oh yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, great dude. He was actually, it was kind of like one of those things where I was looking to get into it, and he was looking for like the bass guy, because he wanted to start doing some more bass stuff. So my friend Mike McAndrew, who at the time he worked for Pigtronics, so I was a Pigtronics artist. You know, I had told him that, you know, Hope Kills Fear was done, and he told me, he's like, listen, Lewis Smith from he's the Tone King. He's looking for a bass guy if you could do some videos. So I got a lot of videos. I had like, I think they're still out there, but some of the most embarrassing videos that I've done, you know, where like I'm creeping at like 2 o'clock in the morning, like with the camera, because my wife and kids are upstairs sleeping, and in my living room, and, you know, and it's like, hey,
Oh, you mean yesterday?
yeah, basically. And I started doing videos for him, and then you know, I guess we had some good success with the videos, but you know, at the time that he had like 60 or 70,000 subscribers, and I was only getting like 1,100, 1,200 views because 90% of his subscribers were all guitar players. So my one buddy's like, dude, why don't you just go off on your own? You know, it's like anybody can start a YouTube channel. And he's like, just do it on your own. He's like, and call it Just Basic. So I'm going to give shout outs to my friend Dino DiGesso, because he's the one who gave me the name and everything. And I did the whole thing. And one thing that I was always very, you know, like for example, Jeff's videos always sounded incredible. So like the tone quality, you know, that he was getting out of like, you know, if he's demoing a pedal or if he's demoing a bass or whatever, they always sounded incredible, whether you were listening on your iPhone or listening on a full sound system with your computer. So if you watch my videos aren't like the most amazing videos that you're going to watch. You know, they're nowhere near like Jeff's videos, or say like a Patrick Hunter. Patrick Hunter's videos, in my opinion, are some of the best out there. Even my friend Adam Arts does some incredible videos. I just didn't have the patience for it. I'd rather just set up one or two cameras, have a close up of the pedal I was demoing, or the bass, have one of me so I could speak during it, and then that's it. And then basically the line out that I did was, I don't know if you could see this, but there's my rig. So my friends at Ampeg.
Is that a rocket bass?
That?
No, oh no, that's a Portaflex. Okay, it's really small. Sorry, the screen is small.
It's. I was gonna say it's a pretty decently sized rig.
Oh yeah, the Portaflex is rad.
Yeah, it's a 410 Portaflex, the 800 watt, and I just do XLR out, literally right into the M audio. So this is this is my box that I use. So I run the XLR out right into here, so I get a direct feed, and then I would use this secondary input for a lapel mic. So then I could mix my levels up like that. So that's basically all I did. I know Chris and Nick, you guys have a pretty intensive setup.
Yeah, it's pretty intensive. It spans 2 states now at this point. But yeah, it started relatively humble when we started. The signal chain was, I just used 2 of these XF 105s and they have XLR inputs on them. So I had a Beta 52 and I would put the microphone up on the, actually when we started, we were doing it at the local music store, which is where we met Nick. Nick was the manager of instrumental music in Ventura, California. And we would just use whatever amp was there. And then it got to the point where, which is why I asked if that was a Rocket bass, because we used a Rocket bass as our backline, and then we graduated up to the Aguilar, and now I'm using the Dark Glass Microtubes 900 V2, mostly because A, I like it, and B, it has 2 DI outs. It's got a post EQ with cab sim and then a pre EQ. My new garage home studio setup is not fully soundproof yet, so I can't blast that cabinet, but that cab sim on the Dark Glass does a really good job of emulating the cabinet, the Dark Glass cabinet I have, and the Beta 52. So it kind of works out perfectly.
I had to unmute myself. So let me ask you a question, because this is something that whenever I was demoing a pedal, and Jeff, maybe you can throw in your 2 cents on this too. If I was demoing a pedal, right, I always turn my cabinet off. So I think that's pre or post? That's post, right?
I mean, you could get a signal either way.
Well, no. I didn't want the settings on my cabinet to interfere with it. So I wanted basically just a power mode. You know what I mean? Just
gotcha.
Sound. Right. So I didn't want to color my tone, because listen, we all know that there's all these, like, you know, a dark glass amp will color your bass or your tone differently than an Ampeg, differently than an Aguilar, differently than a GK, differently than a Mesa Boogie, or whatever you're using.
Mm-hmm.
They've all their distinctive tones, right?
Yes.
I didn't want that. I wanted whatever bass I was playing, whether it was a passive active bass, I wanted that to be my tone, like, you know, to be like the you know, like the what's the word I'm looking for, like the ground zero of my tone, then run it through the pedal so you get the most non-biased sound that you can get. That's why I would run it direct, and I wouldn't clean it up in Logic at all. So I wouldn't put reverb on top of it. I'd have it completely dry signal. The only thing that I would maybe do was maybe put some reverb on my voice, just so, like, if I'm talking, it just sounds a little bit more filled up instead of like a dry sound. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree about being as neutral as possible. When we started with the Beta 52, it was just because that's all we had. So we didn't really have a choice. I figured let's start going and figure it out as we go. With the Dark Glass head, with the distortion disengaged and everything just set flat and neutral, your pre-EQ DI is a pretty, I mean, I do agree that every amp is going to color it differently. However, I think the saving grace is that if you're using not only the same amp every video, but also showing here's my tone with the pedal bypassed, this is what my clean tone sounds like. So if you are using an Ampeg or something else, and maybe your tone has a little bit more high end than mine or whatever, you can take that into account. But consistency for me is the key, while being as neutral as possible with what works best for me, because I found that sometimes distortion pedals through a pre-EQ DI, and it's just super, it sounds technically true to the pedal, but it's also very unpleasant. So there's a fine line between, you don't want to, I don't do any post EQ or anything like that, but you also don't want it to sound overly harsh, because then it's going to turn people off to every distortion pedal you show. So I figure there's a fair amount of people who are going to listen to it through a cab, who are going to record or play shows with a mic and a DI. So I tried my best to get it to sound good without tweaking it and being true to the unit.
Right. So one thing that I wanted is I wanted to get as close to what I was hearing in the room on that video that I possibly could. You know,
yes.
Like that's what I wanted. And I don't have fancy cameras like you do. I just have like, I don't even have it. My wife stole it from me. I'm not really doing videos anymore. I'm using my iPhone now. but I was using just a regular Canon. And I actually got this that worked pretty well. I forgot what the manufacturer it is. The Rode mic. So I was using this just for like, just to kind of like, I would usually blend like a little ambiance between like, like blend in a little bit of like the natural room sound when I was mixing, the editing process, because I think that a lot of people don't, one thing that say manufacturers and people that watch this on, that watch your videos on YouTube don't understand is that the video, making the actual video doesn't take a long time. It's actually a lot of fun. You know what I mean? You set up the cameras. Probably the biggest pain in the ass is setting up the cameras and getting the shots, getting everything, taken care of so you can make sure that like, all right, yeah, my head's not, I'm not cut out like that. You can see the bass, you can see the pedal that
Your head's kind of big, Joe, so.
What's that?
I said your head is kind of big, so, that's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. What are you gonna do? but the one thing that I was thinking of is that like I don't think a lot of people don't realize like the post production that you put in, the editing process.
Yes, I will agree 100%. It's probably 10% actual recording and 90% spent in front of the computer editing. It's a major pain in the ass.
Yeah, I've come up with a method too that has made my editing life much more of a hassle. I think it makes the videos better, so it's worth it. But I've been doing reamping where I pre-record all of the riffs and different players with this little guy right here with my custom button. And it records a clean, pure, direct, assuming that you plug bass to wiretap. It's 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz audio, so it's as pure as it can be. And I have samples from Nick down there or wherever he is in relation to you, a couple other people on my team, Jamie Lewis and whoever else, and I'll reamp them through the pedal. So you hear a variety of players, styles, basses. But then once I get all my tones, I have to go find where did that stock video of Jamie from October 2018 go? Oh, there it is. Okay, now I'll sync it up. And it's a nightmare sometimes, but it's worth it to me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, once I started doing it, I didn't want to go back. It's like it's really rewarding when you see like, all the hours that you put into it. It's hard to go back to doing anything less.
Yeah. So Jeff, here's a question for you. How'd you get into demoing pedals with whiskey and cigars?
Just happened to be a fan of whiskey and cigars. You mean like all the pictures I post on Instagram? Can you hear me?
Little vape action going. Okay, I see what's going on.
No. He always puts this. I'm not a whiskey drinker at all, and I'm not a cigar smoker. But his pictures that he posts make me want to drink whiskey and smoke a cigar.
I was just about to go pour myself a scotch, but no, I've been a huge scotch fan, and I'm a big cigar fan. Hey, look, when you have an addictive personality, and I quit cigarettes coming up on 9 years ago, I needed something, so picked up cigars instead.
Yeah, that's why I vape instead. It's so much easier. No,
I tried that for a couple of months. That's not my thing.
No, dude, all good, man. So how'd you get into doing the demos? What made you start?
I've gotten that question a lot. From the very beginning, I had no intention. I never set out to become like a pedal demo guy. The very first video I put up, it was of the DNA bass dragger, which, if you guys know that pedal, is pretty famously connected to Adam from the Beastie Boys, songs like Gratitude. I haven't found a single pedal that's able to get that tone. So it actually started when one of my friends bought the same pedal and he was playing it and I'm playing mine. And I said, hey, are you getting this weird like squeal somewhere when you set the knobs, like, and he's like, no, not really. I'm like, can I take the pedal home? Can I ABM back to back? He's like, yeah, sure. So I did that. I filmed it. And honestly, I'm like, wait, I want to show it to him right now. What's the quickest way? Let me throw it up on YouTube. That's literally how I got started. And then after that, I had a different friend who was going into the studio. I already had, 10 years ago, I already had 60 or 70 pedals, being the pedal whore that I am, and they wanted to hear them. So they asked me like, hey man, can you just do like a quick little demo? And then, cause I was going to lend it to them. They were going into the studio to record. So I would just throw up a little demo. They were like, oh man, I like that. And then I started getting comments of like, oh, hey, and that's exactly how it started. And I just started doing more and more of them. People started, asking me if I could do a little demo of their pedal. I'm like, yeah, sure. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. Why not? Then I started doing them with the drum track, and then it basically, 9 years later now became what it is. I'm like, I really enjoy doing it. And I think that that's important. Anyone who does this will know that like your heart's got to be in it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love doing it. But that to answer your question, Joe, that's how I started. It was not with the intent one day where I woke up and I said, yeah, I really want to demo, bass and guitar pedals on YouTube. It didn't happen that way.
Yeah, same thing. My entrance into it, I think, was more of, for the first time in my life, I was considering myself like retired from playing in like rock bands, where I'm not going to do the rehearsals 3 days a week, doing this. And the last band I was in was probably the closest I would have gotten to becoming signed, and the whole touring thing, because we were kind of like weekend warriors, where we get a call from our manager and be like, hey, we need you to go rent a van tomorrow and drive out to Ohio to play this festival. And it's like you're getting like 5 hours notice, and you have a job, and you have your wife. So this was kind of like when I first started doing it, was my outlet, that I had that creative, the creative bug, and the beauty of it was that I got to stay home to do it. So it's like, even though I was creating something, and like it was by myself, I had complete control over everything. I didn't have to get anything approved by anybody else, like by 4 other members in a band. And I could sit there and just, pump out these pedals. And I did a ton in the beginning with like Pigtronics, which, I love Dave and all those guys and everything. But I think that was the love for me, was that creative outlet that I still got to, because from the inception, like, somebody sends you a pedal or a bass or whatever, you need a week, 2 weeks, 10, 15 hours to play with that pedal, that bass, to get accustomed to it. Then you got to write some tracks, you got to write some riffs, then you got to record it, and then you got the 10 hours of editing 45, 50 minutes down of video to a 3 to 5 video that like, all right, if I can get somebody to watch this video, like 2 minutes of the 5 minutes, that's a win. You know what I mean? Even if they fast forward through everything and just listen to the sound samples, that's a win. And that's the way I did it. What about you, Nick? You haven't said anything yet. We got to get you on the horn.
Pardon me. So these are new headphones. Is there audio coming through? I'm trying a new set of headphones.
Sounds good to
Yeah,
me.
sounds
Is
good.
it working out okay? All right. So as Chris alluded to, so he has since moved out of California. So our situation has become a little more, we've had to improvise. How about that? So interestingly enough, while he was moving to Vegas, I had also just moved actually into a new house with my family. I have a wife and 2 children. So with him being gone, our studio that we had sort of in the middle ground, not as consistent, not as easy to access, we've kind of had to improvise. So I'm in the process of actually building a home studio right now. I have a couple Mackie MR5s. I'm using a PreSonus. What's my interface? It's a 6. It's the 6x8 or 6x12. I can't remember, because my plan is to then I want to be able to record drum tracks, mic the drum tracks, and I want to be able to use some live drums in with some recorded bass tracks for bass demos, pedal demos, what have you. Running an Ampeg SVT Classic with the 410 cabinet. I have like a Black Star guitar amplifier that I use if I want to use some guitar tracks. So
I have a Black Star too. I think those are one of the most underrated amps. I love my Black Star.
I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, mine leaves a little bit to be desired, but I mean, when you get a company that like Golden Era Marshall's R&D department goes to and builds their own company, there's some good stuff there. You know what I mean?
I don't want to sidetrack you, but which Black Star do you have?
The 5.
I
have
have
the
the Artisan 100.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the most. It's one of the loudest, clean, non-master volume amps. Next to like one of the old Fenders, I think it's criminally underrated. That amp is an absolute beast.
I totally agree. I was the store manager of a guitar store for quite a while. So I had the opportunity to play a bunch of different Black Stars, the 20, the Club 40, I think. I played a couple of the 100s. I had one of the last American-made Fender 410 DeVilles, all tube, one of
Nice.
the last USA made for a long time. But I mean, with 2 kids, I had to flip it. If I were a guitar player, primarily, I for sure would have kept it. But I flipped it, bought some pedals, got myself a really nice a really nice tube Black Star HT5, which is just enough to stick a microphone in front of it for, to reference, just for scratch tracks and what have you.
Yep.
Because my guitar player in my cover band, he has like a Mesa Boogie, and he has like a Princeton, and he's got a whole myriad of pedals and stuff. So if I have like a particular idea for a progression, I'll write something and I'll record it, and then I'll be like, hey dude, teach me how to do this better. You know what I mean? Like, I'll defer to his expertise in that regard. So yeah, I'm back to what I was saying. I'm kind of in the process of rebuilding my studio right now, and everything is kind of in a state of flux. So I would say by this time next month, I'll have a completely new setup, new backdrop. I do love my pirate flag, but this is only temporary as things are being constructed. So I'm in a similar situation as Chris, actually, where I'm not completely soundproofed. So I have to kind of keep things in perspective as far as the family goes. I'm currently doing a lot of practicing through my Fender Rumble 500, which is a 210, very light. It's great for like small club stuff. Before all this went down, my group and I were gigging probably at least a couple times a month. So it was nice to just be able to throw this 210 in the back of my pickup truck. It's got an XLR out, so I could go in through the house. So my stage volume could be reasonable, house volume could be reasonable. Nobody's getting blown out. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you, Joe, but everything is kind of in the state of flux right now.
I'm doing the same. I'm rebuilding my studio as well. It's a nightmare here in New York.
Yeah. Oh God, I'll bet, man. It got to be
Yep.
absolutely insane going on right now.
I had to move my entire. I basically had to move my entire recording setup. So it really sucks. That's the biggest.
Well, Jeff, you were recording in an actual studio, like not in your house, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I think that's why I got to the point where I was really, really happy with the tone. Is I was playing it. I mean, those amps were cranking, which I can't do that at home. So I have to, figure out what I'm going to do to get back on track. And I have a bunch of, cab sim pedals that I've had for a while. A couple I've done demos of, but I'm probably going to have to resort to using that as a solution right now during this whole awful situation.
Yeah, hopefully we come out of that. Hopefully everybody's well. I mean, usually we start out the call, everybody's healthy, right?
Yeah.
It's healthy. You guys don't know anybody that's been taken out by coronavirus?
Oh no, I've actually known 3 people that have been taken out.
Yeah. Oh,
it's awful.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had a couple of friends, couple of old customers that are no longer with us. God rest their souls. Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks.
Yeah, no, it hits close to home. I had one of my close friends. His father already died from it.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
So thank you. I mean, if you live here, it's like we get the good along with the bad equally in New York. It's just the nature of the beast living in so many people. Or it's
Yeah.
I live in Southern California, and we dealt with the Thomas Fire not too long ago. Obviously a completely different situation, but I have to say I noticed something similar where like some of my best friends and some of my customers lost everything. Homes burned down, people died in the fire. And with all of that tragedy, there was an interesting thing where neighbors kind of slowly came together and said, hey man, do you need anything? Like, you need a lift,
Yep.
How's that going? You need some bread, so something to be said for that, at least.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Same thing happened with Sandy. I mean, my wife and I were just talking about it this morning. There was this woman who lived across when I was living in Staten Island. you know, Jeff could probably understand this whole thing with Staten Island and the way New York City runs. In New York City, especially, Jeff, you're in Queens, right?
I'm in Queens.
All right. So Queens is very similar to Staten Island, where it's like it's suburban in like when you're thinking in terms of like the city life. So you have your house, and it's an unspoken law that you've got the spot in front of your house. That's your spot. So I lived in a semi-attached house, right? So my neighbor, who I was attached to, would park in front of the house. He would never move his car. So I would park across the street. So hence the woman across the street hated me. And we used to fight, like get into brawls about parking spots. So the night of Sandy, when all the water came and she was leaving with her family and everything. And we were deciding on whether we were going to run out. We decided to kind of like just let it go, and like we kind of like apologized and hugged. So yeah, in all this turmoil, there is some good coming out of it where people are taking care of each other, like taking care of your neighbor, taking care of everybody. So it's definitely a plus about something as horrible as something like this. But what I wanted to ask was, Mike, you've been getting into videos again, like you've been sharing on our WhatsApp,
Yeah.
or across your cult WhatsApp. But I wanted to get into, what's your signal chain like? What do you do? I mean, you're in the room that you actually make all your
Sure.
videos.
Yeah, if you look behind me, this is my home studio. It's an entire room that's been converted to a soundproof creative room where I always joke around that I actually live in here. My house is just for decoration. I spend all my time in here. If I'm not making noise, I'm in here working on God knows what. Well, at least for a while I was. Now I'm not so active anymore. I'm kind of just like a part-timer. But essentially, I have like a really weird approach to all this. Like, you have to understand, like psychologically, I have like really bad OCD, ADD, and if I get obsessed with something, I will not sleep for days because I'll be so obsessed with trying to make something happen. So knowing that about how I try not to get too crazy with the video and audio setups. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I actually have what I call a Jimmy Page approach, where I try to do it in as minimal takes with as minimal like ADD-isms as possible. I know that's not a word, but that's what I'm going to use, ADD-isms. So like, I don't want to get too obsessed and hung up on something to the point where I don't get it done in an amount of time where I'm happy with it. Because if I end up spending too much time in it, I'm just gonna fucking end up hating it anyways, and then throw it out. So what's like the point? But I do have some nice equipment anyways. I have three of these cameras that I use. They're high definition cameras, and they have really nice audio recording capabilities. But I try not to get too obsessed with recording the audio. I just use the shotgun mics that come with it and record the room. Every once in a while, I'll record the audio separate in like just your basic interface capture device, just to kind of get it. But and then as far as like in post, I don't do a crazy amount of editing. I just clean up whatever if it needs to like be like evened out, like a little more treble, a little more bass. Like I said, I try not to get too obsessed because then I'll go down rabbit holes and never end up getting it done. And it's supposed to be for fun, and if it turns into too much work, then I'm missing the point. Like I try not to get too obsessed with what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm very similar in that regard. I can definitely be very, very OCD. So
Yeah,
I learned a long time ago, it's better to come home from the studio with a solid hour and a half of footage, video and audio.
Yeah.
And then at least I know I got it. I don't have to haul my ass back there, and I got plenty of footage to cut, but yes, I'm I'm pretty anal about that stuff.
Yeah. And part of it too is because like I'm more of a live performance musician based. Like that's where like my true passion is. And like I always fucking hated recording anyways, because I hate doing the same thing over and over all the time. I hate doing the same shit. I hate doing like multiple takes for one song. Like it gets old to me. So I try to bring like a live performance perspective to how I'm shooting my videos. Like if I make a mistake and it's not too terrible, I just say fuck it, let it ride. Like I don't care, because like when you're playing live, you don't always play perfect all the time. And when you're playing in front of people all the time, like it's not always going to be perfect. And that's okay because nothing in this life is perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nothing is perfect. So and I'm perfectly acceptable. I'm fine accepting that about like my videos as well. And sometimes like I put some shitty stuff out, and sometimes I put some really good stuff out, and that's fine. Like I don't fucking care. Like I just like making shit and putting it out because it gives me something to do in between all the other shit that I'm involved in. You know? Does that make
I hear you.
sense?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I remember when I first got into this, Steve Arajo from the base was kind of like my, I guess you could say my consigliere. He would, you know, I'd always default to him and you know, tell him like, hey man, I did this down like 45 minutes of footage that I edited down, and it's like I'm afraid to put it out because I'm afraid of the haters, or I'm afraid it doesn't sound good enough, it doesn't look good enough, it doesn't this, it doesn't that, and he would be like, bro, some of the crappiest videos that I put out, you know, like that I thought were crap. You know, like that I was like, this is complete crap. And the next thing you know, like in 3 days, I've got like 7,000 views on it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's true, man. The ones that you think are are usually the ones that people, I guess, connect to and they share and they keep watching over and over. And the ones that you think I did a video for, I can't remember the system, but it was for John Moody. It was for like this DI pedal. I can't remember what it was called, but it was so awesome. It reminded me of like his glove. It had all these great lights on it. It was a killer DI pedal, right? I thought I hit it out of the park, and it's like after like 6 months, it's like got 300 views. You know, and then like I've done like an Ampeg pedal, you know, or I did the Source Audio Manta bass filter. And I thought the video was complete crap. My playing was garbage. I screwed up, and I saw like all the edits where I'm, oh man, I should have done this take again. And it's like, you know, you've got 20,000 views on it, 15,000 views. So you really never know what people are going to latch on to and what people are going to like, you know. And I think that's the thing, is just throw the crap out there. Like Mike, you've been doing a lot of that, like the bass, so like your bass fishing and
The bass fishing and yeah. I mean, honestly, like that's kind of like, everybody knows me as you're either the bass guitar guy or the bass fishing guy. So I figured why not combine both and do like a channel that has both. So, and it's always been my dream to do like a fishing show anyway. So what the fuck? Like, what was I waiting for all this time, you know? So,
yeah.
But
Well, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I'm too lazy to edit videos, and my Mac is like, so this is easier. It's go live. Once it's over with, you're done. That's it. There's no editing. Post it on YouTube, and you're finished. Done. You know.
Yeah. I was gonna point something out. As a session player, I've done like actual session work for like quote unquote big time YouTube people, and I did not like the process, the way they did stuff. I felt it was so fake and so shitty. Like basically we would go to a studio and we would record the parts like all perfect. And then they would chop up the parts and make it all nice and fancy and sound perfect. And then we would go back to like a stage and then actually film it. Like we're basically lip syncing to what we did in the studio that's already edited. And I didn't like that. Like, I'm like, I don't ever want to do videos like that. That to me is just like disingenuous. It's like the equivalent of chicks that use like too many filters and butt filters on their Instagram. Like, I don't want to be that, let alone be that in my music. You know? So that's another reason why I kind of embrace like this more guerrilla style of it's okay to not be perfect. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfection. It's okay to kind of fuck up and be shitty, but not like sucky, but like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, I agree with that too. On some of the videos I did where, and Joe, you probably remember these from some of the Dark List videos where I started experimenting with multi-camera setups and doing the whole 2 and 3 camera editing thing. And one of the cameras just came out. I mean, the footage was completely fucked up. I would have to run it through, 6 hours worth of denoising and After Effects or do whatever. So I just said, fuck it. But at the end of the day, it was polished enough to the point where I was happy with it, and the sound for me came first. You know what I mean? So I wasn't gonna redo that entire thing based on, okay, well, I got 2/3 of it looking okay. The edit itself, overall looks okay. Like, that's it. I can't obsess over it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know what, that's a funny thing, because I remember Adam Art started getting like crazy with his videos, right? Where like he'd have all these different views. I called him up. I texted him one day. I'm like, bro, how many cameras do you have? And he goes, 1. Wait a second.
Yep.
There's like a 10-second clip of like that of your last video where you changed like into 8 different camera views. One from below the base, one from headstock, one from front on, one of this. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I recorded that thing 8 times through. And I'm like, wow, that's dedication.
Yeah.
Because like, there's no shot. I'm like, because it took me, like, I'm one of those guys. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like, if I'm jamming by myself, like, practicing the riff, I'm gonna nail it 9 times out of 10. As soon as I hit record and then I have a camera, I'm screwing it up 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
Right?
That's life.
Yeah. Yeah. Whose alarm is going off?
Someone's burning down the house.
Yeah.
With mine, Joe, I'm a big fan of like guerrilla style movies and stuff like that. So I'll just get, if I happen to have a little bit of time, I'll just set up whatever I have, put on sounds, and then I improv everything that I do. And then it's done and I just upload it. And half the time I'm not showing my face, and I want it to look really grainy, and I want it to sound really, so I think everybody's got their own approach of what they want to look for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And through those videos that I've done, I have people asking for records and asking for artwork and stuff like that. So it's been a good process for me to be able to share what I'm doing. And a lot of it's just in the moment. I do all my stuff in the moment just because I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a video and just throw it up,
Yeah.
So,
well, I think one of the best parts about doing it like that guerrilla style is that, I guess you have more room to be like, where there was a point in time for me, and I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, was that I was getting so serious about it that it was no longer like the craft. It was kind of like a job, where it's just like, I'm gonna reach out to Dark Glass, and I'm gonna ask them to demo something. So I'm gonna do it as professional as humanly possible, so I can either get paid or, get something out of it for my time. So I think it kind of paints you in a box where now, like, the demos, I'm not even doing really demos anymore, but any videos that I'm putting on, it's like, yeah, I'm going to get lazy, and instead of like, getting an XLR or a direct signal and then, editing the audio and video together, I'm just going to throw my iPhone up there and just post it onto Instagram. And I find that sometimes when I just do that low income, I guess you could say, form of it, sometimes I get better reactions than when I do like the overproduced thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question kind of for everybody. So I'm new at like live streaming. I mostly do video games and stuff. I am a bass player. I'd like to get involved with doing like videos and stuff like that. My thing is, what programs do you guys use for editing in general? You know what I mean? Like the simplest, the ones that would help, like starter kit, more or less. You know what I mean?
I use Adobe for everything.
Yeah, I use Premiere and After Effects, like, exclusively.
What's it called?
Premiere,
Adobe.
Adobe? Okay.
It's
Yeah,
going to be two, probably either Premiere or Final Cut. It's either Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro.
It's Final Cut for me, and mostly just because I'm kind of all Apple over here, and it just makes sense. I've never gotten along with Adobe for some reason. Just me and their UI just don't mix.
Yeah,
I love
they're
Adobe
difficult.
products. I've used a bunch of different various Adobe products, but since I switched and started doing this, I switched to Mac, so I've had to kind of do Final Cut Pro. But if you're using Windows, Adobe Premiere is a great program. If you're using Mac,
Yeah.
Final Cut, you're gonna have to throw a couple bucks down. But the thing is that ultimately it will take care of you in the long term, as opposed to getting something inexpensive now. I dropped an extra $150 or so on my interface, and I've gotten way more use out of it than I ever would have had I bought something within the budget, just because I waited a couple more paychecks. So it's whatever works for you best. But if you can swing something good, go for it.
Yeah, I use I've been using mostly iMovie, but Final Cut Pro. A friend gave me a jailbroken, not a jailbroken copy. He gave me like his login information. I shouldn't be saying that.
Sharing
I'm
you
gonna
with you.
report you.
We're content creators and sharing here. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's how I have Photoshop.
But yeah, but I happen to agree. Like I couldn't get into the I'm one of the guys, like, other than my work computer, which is a like a PC. We're a Mac family, so I'd say Final Cut Pro is definitely where it's at. It's so easy to use. If you can get a handle on iMovie, Final Cut Pro just has more features that you have more freedom. Basically, you're not tied down to putting your titles where they tell you to put the titles. You can put them which I could have used in old videos with putting like arrows to what this knob does or whatever. You don't have that freedom in iMovie, but in Final Cut Pro you can kind of manipulate it however you want.
I think a good video, and I've never seen this, I've never come across it, I don't know that I've ever looked for it, but a video showing bass players like, this is my process, this is how I do it, because I'm not smart enough for all this stuff.
I'm not either.
Yeah, you
I
are.
play my bass
Totally not
guitar,
either.
play 4 strings, throw 5 in there, and I'm struggling a little bit. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not a computer dude. I get on stage, or, my whole thing was my lead singer, the guy that does all my stuff for me. He's a computer guy, but he doesn't like being videotaped. So a lot of my videos are me planting my iPhone and then us at practice. And then I'd post it just to watch him stress out the next day. You know what I mean? So, I think a video like that, like, here's an easy way for you to get a really good sound. That would be phenomenal for somebody like me, because I have I don't want to spend the time looking at all that. I'm trying to write riffs and come up with new ideas and things like that, So I don't know.
I think that's a great idea. That's an idea that I had actually pitched to Chris a while ago before he ended up moving, and we kind of put our primary studio in limbo. I feel like I'm such a kid at heart. I still go on everybody's YouTube channels and I watch everybody's videos and all that stuff. I still feel like I'm a beginner level player at heart. I would love, I totally agree. I would love to sit and watch somebody give like a play-by-play on, this program works for me. I like this amp. This is my favorite bass. This is the da-da-da-da-da. And this is how I use all of these things. To just break it down in a little bit more of a consumable format would be a pretty good idea. I'd like that a lot. So, Chris, I'm going to poke you a little bit more. You're down in this corner for me, so I'm going to poke you again a little bit more.
I can't make it look too easy to the general public, because then it's more competition for us.
You could just add some stuff, and it's got to run through this flux capacitator before I can.
Exactly. It takes hours upon days upon months.
These are my amp settings. This is how I get this sound. This is, I try to share everything. That's probably why I don't make any money at this at all. You know what I mean? But
wait, y'all are making money?
No, I'm not making any. But like my 13-year-old son, I always go back to what he's doing, and he's got all these questions like, how do I do a video? And I'm like, dude, I can't help you, but this is how we can do a chord and we can play together. You know what I mean? So I always kind of refer back to him, and I'm like, man, I wish I had the knowledge and the skills to do like what you guys do. Because I look at Mike's and Joe, I look at your videos, I'm like, damn, I have no idea how to even start that.
Damn, that guy sucks.
Yeah, that's totally what he's saying.
I'll add something. I'll add something in, or let me just throw this out to everybody. How many of you who are using Premiere, Final Cut, were using it before you started making videos?
Oh yeah,
like
I've been
base.
using it forever.
Okay, so I've been using, I do it professionally, like for my job. I've probably have Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere open every single day for the last 18 or 19 years. So
Same here.
it's okay, cool. So it's kind of like an important distinction to say, yes, there will be a learning curve, because
I'm so stuck on Adobe that I actually use Adobe Audition as my audio program.
I've
Yeah.
I've used Audition too, but you know, when you're recommending like these programs to other people, you have to, you know, make sure they understand that it's very powerful, but there's definitely a learning curve.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it was easy for me, but if you've never, you know, made videos before, you're going to be like, what the hell is going on? You're going to be like, you know.
That's an excellent point, actually. I really wanted to be a photographer when all through like middle school, through high school, I wanted to be a professional sports photographer. So I had Photoshop. I had Adobe Photoshop open every single day, just as you were saying. Like literally, I would go out with my camera after school. I would walk from school back to my house, which is like 5 or 6 miles, as opposed to riding my bike or getting a ride. And I would take pictures along the way and then go home and edit those photographs before doing my homework. Then when I made the switch, when we started doing this and I started using Final Cut Pro, it was a huge learning curve, because it was like being fluent in Spanish. And then now I have to learn, you know, Chinese or Korean. It's like, they're both really good languages to know, nothing to do with each other, little to nothing to do with each other.
I had to do some like session work as a bass player for an artist remotely, and he wanted me to only use Pro Tools, and I was like, fuck. I was like, I hate that, because I was just so used to Adobe Audition. So I basically did everything in Adobe Audition and then just transferred it over, just the you know, the finished file to Premiere, and then bounced that back to him. So he had no fucking idea that I didn't use Pro Tools. I only used Audition.
He knows now. If he's watching.
I think that's the sign of the times. You know, if you're going to be a musician, you have to know all this computer stuff. You know, in any industry that you're in, you know, you have to learn the computer aspect of it. And I struggle with that a lot. I'm still drawing with pens and, you know, sheets of paper and stuff and sending it to people. You know, so somebody said upload me an MP3, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do that.
I can fix a car. I can do plumbing. I can do drywall. I can do electrical. You name it, like hands-on, I can do it. When it comes to computers, I'm stupid. Like,
but you're all about this Twitch, and you're like the Twitch guy.
I'm trying.
You could take what you're doing right now and start live streaming, you know, you sitting there playing bass, and like,
and that's what I'm trying to like get around to, because especially with what's going on today, like a lot of musicians they found Twitch, or they found YouTube, or they're using Facebook, or even like Mixer, which is the Microsoft program for live streaming. Everybody's dipping into it, and like I'm just trying to get an idea of like what I would need to get. Like right now, when I play music, it's going into this mic right here. Like it's not connected to my computer. I have a separate PC playing music, but I would rather have it set up on Spotify or something, have it on my bass set up and like play along with stuff, you know, or
right.
I don't know.
No, you just need an interface. That's it.
Yeah. You said you're using the M Audio, right?
Yeah, you can probably get it for like $50 now. I think
I'm gonna do some
research
research
when it first came out.
And we kind of touched on this the other day, Joe, but when live shows do come back, I think people are I would kind of expect, I want to be able to see it live if I can't make it to the show, you know, or because people are going to be afraid for a while and numbers are going to be down. So how do we get into that? You're going to have to know how to do that. Yeah. Or if I wanted to do a show in my living room with my buddies and stream it, you know, because we can't go out.
Yeah.
Got to figure that out. You know, and that's where like you guys that are doing demos and stuff and all this stuff online, you already got a one up on a lot of people, you know.
I got hit up a ton by people when all this shit went down. They lost all their live show gigs. They're like, Mike, help me set up like streaming and stuff. I'm like, well, fuck, like that's a tall order, man. Like you're asking to do it how I do it. So yeah, the demand is huge right now for that.
And that might be another avenue of, you know, creating income. Is setting up stuff for people like me so we can go do a show. You know what I mean? Instead of, being a sound guy, now you're the AV guy getting it all ready for them. That might be another avenue for people.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
probably pay somebody to come in and set it up so it's hands free.
One of my buddies, one of my good friends, actually, just this afternoon, him and his bandmate, they did like a driveway concert where they set up a couple cameras, but they promoted the heck out of it on Facebook and Instagram, whatever
I think I
social
saw
media
that.
platforms. And so they told everybody, hey, come on by, come see us. We're going to start at 2 p.m. this afternoon. But they also live streamed it, and then they dropped their what is the pay app?
Like GoFundMe.
Yeah, like GoFundMe, or they
Oh,
gave like
or
2 or 3
Jar
different
or
platforms. I'm sorry.
Like a tip jar. It's like a
Patreon?
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't Patreon. It was like a GoFundMe, or it was like some kind of, it was a digital tip jar, essentially what it was. And it was like, hey, if you like what the streaming service is, if you like what we're playing, or if you drove by and you saw us play it and you like it, feel free to throw a couple bucks in the digital tip jar. And they actually, like, I don't know what the final total was, but they did make a couple bucks, and they kept their small up and coming folk band. They played South by Southwest like 3 years in a row. I think this year is the only year they haven't played it for the last like 3 or 4 years. They actually made a couple bucks and kept their name in the circuit, So I think you bring up a good point. That might be something that we're all going to get used to here going forward.
Now,
Yeah.
during this quarantine thing, has anybody else been disappointed at their view count, despite the fact that everyone's supposed to be staying at home?
Y'all are getting views during this?
Exactly. Yeah.
I was told, like, right as it happened, like, oh man, you better hit it hard because views are coming. I'm like, all right, cool. So I hit it hard, and then admittedly, I got a little burnout, so I'm trying to work my way back up slowly. But views just, I don't know if it's the algorithm or if you guys had problems with the algorithm. It hits your subscribers the first day. For us, we get anywhere between 2,000 and 4,000 in the first 12 hours, and then it just drops. And we're getting maybe 60 to 80 views a day after the first 2 days, and it's exceptionally frustrating.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. Yeah.
Do you guys do live stuff on YouTube, or is it it's all
I do not.
pre-edited?
We went live a couple days ago, and we just barely crested 1,000 views.
Yeah, there was enthusiasm from the people from all 24 people who were with us.
By the way, thanks guys. We do appreciate you tuning in.
Like, I've noticed with YouTube, like, there's not. It's easier to, like, they direct you more towards watching edited videos. Like, they don't direct you towards, like, going to watch people who are live, which I think is like a down. It's kind of like a, I don't know. Twitch is totally different. Twitch goes like right to live people. Like, there's no, you can watch people's videos once you get to their channel. You know what I mean? It's like the live thing is put first. On YouTube, it's more, from what I get out of it, it's like it's all pre-recorded, or edited videos.
That's a good point, actually, because I follow a lot of video game live streamers, especially on YouTube. Like, that's, truth be told, that's a lot of what my feed is various video gamers. And whenever somebody goes live, I've already missed it. It doesn't get, I'll be lucky if I get a push notification.
What I've noticed, I'm also part of a vinyl community group whenever that started like 6 or 7 years ago. And there are some people that whenever they do their live feed, they are consistent. Like, they do it every Friday at whatever time, and it's consistently always scheduled that they go live at that time, and they get a ton of followers that way. And they show records and they talk about music and stuff like that. And that's kind of how my channel, it started as a bass channel, and then it turned into, this is the record that I listen to get ideas for this and that and the other. But if you're consistent about when you're going to go live, and you start getting that word of mouth going around, and you'll have
having a schedule.
Yeah,
having a schedule on Twitch is very important.
Yeah,
and I try to stick to it. I mean, but you're not gonna, like, things change, But yeah, if you have a basic schedule, like usually I'm Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But now that we used to rehearse my band on Thursday nights, we're not doing that now. So I've been doing Thursday, Friday night, and Saturday night now. I just, since I'm stuck in the house, I'm gonna be live. I feel like it's better. It's I'm not in it for like, it's not a competition for me to get the most followers, or I still have a job. I still, this isn't gonna be like my nest egg. The community that I have like 75 followers, and they're all awesome. It's a small group of people who are friends, and most of them I didn't know beforehand. But like, we play games together. I'm gonna, after this is over, I'm gonna start up another stream, and I'm gonna play with a couple friends, and probably have some beers and get crazy till the wee hours of the night. This is,
Nice. I was
it's
playing Neo just before this. Actually, I'm doing some old school
Yeah.
stuff. I'm going through the Uncharted series and playing Neo. So I hear
Okay,
you
cool. Yeah, I'm a Destiny 2 guy, and like Warzone, and stuff.
Warzone's hot right now. Super
Yeah,
hot.
yeah, it's fun. I suck at it, but it's fun. But we have fun, and we have fun. We make jokes, and when we die, like, that's the kind of, like, I feel like I have a personality where I can, if I could put clips together of me being hilarious, or me being stupid, or me just dying all the time, put that on YouTube as like a 5-minute video or something. There's potential there.
We
Oh.
tried to do something not too dissimilar from that. So with the base channel, we're fortunate enough because we're like a team of people. And I totally agree. I think like that's the funniest stuff when I go to watch a videos. I want to see like somebody dying or something.
Oh, yeah. People
Like,
eating shit is the best thing to see on the internet.
yeah, you got to be able to laugh at yourself before you can
yeah.
laugh at anybody else, And some of my favorite, my personal favorite videos we did is when it was me and Chris and Will and Josh all in a room together talking about one subject or another. Obviously, it's base related because it's our channel. But those were a couple of our videos. Like what Chris did we do? We did like the our favorite pedal one.
That one did well, and we did a second one of what current artist would we like to hear cover a classic artist.
That was such a
was
funny
fun.
video. I
It was a
loved
fun
that video.
to watch, but it did not do. I mean, it broke 1,000 maybe after a week or so.
Tier.
Yeah, the gear we can't live without video. It seems like our audience really craves personal opinion,
Oh, yeah.
which is good. I mean, I do it when I can, when it's reasonable, but I also want to. I don't know if you guys know of the stuff that Glenn Fricker went through a couple months back, where he recommended something and then some kid bought it. I think it was a Chapman guitar.
Yeah.
And there was something up with the QC, and he got blamed for recommending a shitty product.
Yeah, it was,
And
a
then it
whole, it was
became-
a whole big thing. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's gear that I genuinely like. I'm typically optimistic about gear, so there's few that I honestly really hate. But I don't want to say that something is great and then have somebody say, "Oh, you're just saying that because you got paid," because 90% of the time I did not get paid. So sometimes I like to sidestep that, but I have been slowly implementing, hey, this is cool for this, and I think it's a great pedal for the price. Sure, this could be better, but overall, cool. I try not to spam anything.
I think the biggest thing is that, one of the things that I tried to do is that, yeah, I did a lot of videos that I got to keep whatever I was demoing because, it wasn't cost effective for them, for me to ship it back and everything that, I had it for 6 months, so who cares? Keep it. But you have to be non-biased with your opinions. That's the most important thing. And I think viewers see through it if you're putting it on. So if I ever received a bass pedal or a bass that I wasn't totally, into, and I didn't feel it, I sent it back.
I'm with you, Joe. I've gotten actually pedals where I didn't jive with them, and I said, this really doesn't fit what I'm doing. I'm sorry, but I've sent pedals back actually.
Yeah, you have to, because I want to get excited. Like I want to feel like, when I get a pedal to review, or for example, I want to see like when I open up that pedal and I plug it in for the first time, I'm in the lab. You know what I mean? And I'm going to experiment with this thing and try to get the craziest sounds. I don't want it to do what it's expected to do. I want to do other things with it. You know what I mean? I want to push the limits as far as I possibly can, and get the craziest sounds that I can out of it, because that's what I deem to be important for me. You know what I mean? And I've had stuff sent to me, like, I have a product that was sent to me that they said, hey, listen, try it out, see what you think. And to be honest with you, I wasn't feeling it. So I texted him. I'm like, hey, I'm not feeling this thing right now. I like the predecessor better. That fit me better. So I'm going to send it back to you. And no harm, no foul, man. Because I'm not going to sit there, even though you get that pedal for free or something like that. I'm not looking like, all right, let me put in all the work. Let me sit there for let me put 20, 30 hours into this and waste time, learning it, doing the video, editing it, just to throw it out so I can, put it up on Reverb for $150. It's not worth it to me. I'd rather just send it back and be like, listen, man, if I do this demo, I'm going to be bashing you left and right. So I'm just going to send it back.
I have to say, though, I have to say, like, as a content creator, those are some of the most important videos you can put out. Because, I mean, ultimately, I'm a consumer before I'm a content creator. I've been playing bass since I was a kid, and, like, had I known that some of the pedals that I wanted to spend my hard-earned money on were garbage, or amplifiers or basses, what have you, I probably wouldn't have bought them. Now I'm obviously a little older than some of our viewers. So there, YouTube was not a thing when I was first coming up. I have a baby face, but I'm a little older. But like, I personally love doing videos like that, because, like, I don't want to bash somebody for the sake of bashing somebody, but, like, I always feel like if there's a product that's sent to us for us to demo and review, I have to let people know some of the negatives as well as the positives, because there's always positives, even if it's
Absolutely.
like, even if it's like price point. The Boss DS1, it's only $50, right? A lot of people talk trash about it. A lot of people say it's a garbage pedal. I happen to think it works really well with the bass envelope filter for a synthesizer type effect, because it gives you like a really good, like, square wave or saw wave type synth.
Right.
So there's stuff you can do. But overall, would it be my first choice for distortion? Absolutely not.
I think the difference becomes, is it the best distortion pedal? No. Is it a great distortion pedal for $50? Yes.
I totally agree with that statement.
I
Chris and
understand, but-
you and I have discussed that at
Hey.
length, man. I love
yeah.
doing videos on pedals that are not, or products in general that are not necessarily what I prefer, or even maybe not built well, because it might help some other person from blowing some money where they necessarily should not.
But here, let me give you the other side of that. And Jeff could attest to this, being a fellow New Yorker. But us New Yorkers have problems with filters. So if I'm gonna bash you, I'm bashing you.
That's good.
Pedal is
So be it, though.
complete garbage. It's a piece
That's
of
right.
shit.
That's
No, so be it, though. If they're not
What's the
going to
matter
release
for
a
you
quality
over here?
product, they need to hear it.
No, but they can.
I
hear
know
it.
why. I know why this is. It's because you guys are used to yelling at your shitty sports teams.
Sir?
Ooh.
Hey,
Sir?
when's the last
Bring
time
juice.
Philadelphia won a Stanley Cup?
Rangers,
When's the last time Philadelphia won a Stanley Cup?
like 76 or 70.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just another Giants fan sitting over here being happy as a clam. Don't worry about me. More World Series appearances and awards than the Los Angeles Dodgers, so no big deal. I'm happy as a Giants fan. Cheers.
No, but listen, guys.
I had to
I
throw that in
don't
there.
mean it. Like,
No,
I'm having a blast, but I promised the wife I'd watch a movie tonight. We're actually gonna watch Contagion.
Nice.
That won't freak you out at all.
No, I know. Well, we saw it last night, so we're just like watching. So
Where can I get one of them rubber suits?
everybody quickly, before we end the stream, all your contact information so everybody knows where to find you. We'll start with Ben, and then go to Pat, Mike, Chris, Kilo, Jeff, and then Nick. Go.
Thumb Finger, you can just look Thumb Finger up and I'll pop up in YouTube or Instagram. That's the only two that I am on.
Pat.
Ham Hands with Grizzle on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter.
Mike.
Soon to be YouTube.
I don't have social media because it's the devil, but I do have a YouTube channel. It's if you just Google Django Mike, JANGOMIKE, you'll find me.
Chris.
Main hub for everything is youtube.com/the bass channel. We're also on Instagram, instagram.com/the_bass_channel.
Kilo, unmute yourself.
There you go. So for me, it's just look for Keo Gonzalez, and that should pop up.
There you go, Jeff.
It's just Mr. X Kane, MrExCane on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
And then Nick.
I am on Instagram as nmaffei-bass, and Chris already gave all of our contact info. Just look up the Bass channel, and you will find us.
And I'm just pasting over everything. Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Joe,
Joe, thank you for setting this up, man.
No, thank
Yep.
you guys.
Yeah,
We got
man.
more coming. I think this Wednesday, Carrie Nordstrand's going to be on, which should be exciting because I respect Carrie. He's got all that brand new bass. That's the Panther kind of. It's basically heavily influenced by Juan Alderets, the Panther 2 bass from Italy from the 60s that I'm totally geeking out for. And then I think next week we're gonna have Dave. I don't know how to pronounce his last from the Beat Buddy. He's the gentleman who they made that movie after. So we got some good content coming up pretty soon, the next couple of weeks, and I'm working on some more stuff and trying to change it up. But guys, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight and a lot of great information being shared tonight.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate it,
man.
guys.
Dude,
Thanks,
later,
Cheers,
guys.
gentlemen.
Enjoy
See you
the
all
rest
next
of
time.
your evening.
Peace.
Take care, guys.
Later.
Later, Mike.
adios.
Catch you guys on the flip flop.